Welcome to the Hormone Hub, your go-to source for the conversations every woman in her 40s and 50s needs to have. I'm your host, Kylie Pinwill, your nutritionist helping you navigate your way through perimenopause, menopause and beyond so you can say goodbye to the endless fatigue, unexplained weight gain, hot flushes, PMS, mood changes and more that come on this hormonal roller coaster. If you missed the memo or think this is only for women of a certain age, ladies, it's time to think again. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my latest episodes, which are released every week. Share it with your friends, your sweaty sisters. The more we talk, the more we help each other. Hello, everyone. It is Kylie here. Welcome to the Hormone Series. So today is our first day in our masterclass series. Every week, this week, we will be jumping in because I want to make sure that you're in the right place. So you are absolutely in the right place. You're listening to the right thing if you want to feel empowered and in control of your body, mind, health, and yes, those pesky hormones. If you want to wake up feeling refreshed from a good night's sleep, if you want to throw back the covers and jump out ready to take on the day, if you are ready to take back control of those mood swings, the anxiety, that crippling overwhelm, kiss those hot flushes goodbye, those night sweats, see ya, no more restrictive diets, crazy gym workouts, and trying to work out what the right foods to eat are. So I want you to stop hiding behind the layers, feel fabulous in everything that you pull out of your wardrobe. I want you to be able to enjoy a glass of wine, if that's your thing, because you want it, not because you need it to survive. And I want you to feel good about who you see in the mirror. So if you want any of those things, you are absolutely in the right place for this masterclass series. All right, so let's jump in today. We are going to have a look at what does a hormone imbalance actually mean? That term gets thrown around a lot and, it's a bit vague. So I'm going to clarify that for you. So we'll talk about what a hormone imbalance actually means. We'll look at why it blocks your energy, drains your energy, stops your weight loss, drives us crazy, makes us not sleep at night, all of those things. And we're also going to have a look at 5 simple steps that you can take to balance your hormones out naturally, without needing to diet, without needing to take a million supplements, without needing to feel deprived. Okay, so does that sound good? And specifically, we're going to have a look at, what you've been doing, and instead I'm going to walk you through what works. Okay, so you may have heard me talk about the Well Balanced Woman program, and I will sort of mention it here and there. So if you're curious to find out more, let me know. But essentially, it's a 4-phase plan which is designed specifically for busy women. So in their 40s, their 50s, and, we want to reboot your energy, shift that annoying, belly weight, manage your hormonal symptoms naturally. And look, if we, need to support you because you're on HRT or you're on other medications, you've got underlying health problems, that's okay. We work with you where you're at because none of us are a one size fits all. We all have different signs, symptoms that we present with. So this is what I want to support you with. Okay, so when your body stops responding the way you want it to, and it presents with all manner of weird symptoms, it can be really tough. We're never told that our biggest hormonal changes happen in our 40s, and for some of us, even in our late 30s. And this is what we call perimenopause. So this is what we go through, these big hormone fluctuations in the lead up to menopause. So if you've been pushed out the door by the doctor, you've been told everything is normal, and then left feeling even more confused and alone, you aren't. Okay, so most women think that it's normal, to feel, tired at this age. Most women, is it okay to put on weight at this age? It's really not. Okay. And it's not that we need more willpower. It's not that it's just because we're getting old. It's not because, you need to drop your carbs, all those crazy things. It's your hormones are driving this. All right. And the women that I work with are always relieved to hear it. And it's true. So if you no longer recognize the woman looking back at you in the mirror, or you've become cranky and quick to temper, please know this isn't your fault. It's also not permanent, and we can turn it around. So, certainly as we approach menopause and come out the other side of menopause, our hormones shift in a big way. And the sooner we start supporting our hormones, as opposed to, trying to find that magic supplement or go on another diet that's not going to work, the sooner we can address this, the better you're going to feel. And the problem is, I think, with a lot of us, we're very capable, very busy, women in our 40s, 50s, and we tend to just motor on. We push through, even when the wheels are falling off. But I want to ask you, where will you be a year from now if you stay on the same path you're on now? And are you okay with that? Or do you want a different path? So think about that for a second. Okay, so let's jump in today. So today we're going to have a look at hormones. What hormones are we talking about? And, what it means when, you've got different symptoms, which hormones are driving those. Okay, so what comes to mind when you hear the word hormones? So, for some women, I hear periods, cramping, menopause, tears, divorce, anxiety, brain fog, acne and breakouts, your mood swings, So as you can see, it's a pretty big topic. And, if you can relate to any of this, if you look at food and put on weight, if you, can burst into tears because of something you saw on the TV, if you feel bloated all the time, you don't feel like yourself anymore. And, if you can relate to that, just let me know in the comments, because these are sort of things I hear from women all the time. I hear it from my clients, I hear it from my girlfriends, and I've been there too. And I think, it demonstrates the really powerful effects that hormones can have. And, they can leave a woman feeling totally out of control of her own body. Okay, so if you are nodding your head yes in agreement to any of these points, I'm sending you a big hug. And I promise that whatever it is that you're doing and it's not working, it's really not your fault. And there is so much conflicting information out there. It's really hard to know, who to trust, who's right, who's wrong. And if you feel anything like I've been through this too, okay? I would have done just about anything to get my wacky hormones back under control. All right. But the thing was, nothing worked. So what are our options, really? So medically, perimenopause isn't a diagnosable condition. Menopause isn't an illness, okay? So we're kind of left in this limbo. And the real problem is, for a lot of hormone-related conditions, conventional medicine doesn't have a lot to offer us. So, we quite commonly offered synthetic hormones, so the pill, the Mirena, injections, implants, HRT, antidepressants or anti-anxieties are commonly used strategies. And the problem is, these are often just Band-Aid approaches. Yes, they can absolutely help, but they're not addressing those underlying causes of that hormone imbalance. And also, they're associated with risks of their own as well. So then, on the other hand, we've got medications on one side, and then if we flip it around, we've got diet and exercise. Okay, so again, that's a minefield. Where do we go? Do we go, paleo, we do CrossFit, we do high intensity, is that the way to go? Or do we go vegan and sit in a field and meditate all day? That sounds pretty chilled. And then there is all manner of a million hormonal supplements available on Facebook, that promise the world. So ladies, just save your money and stop buying them. It's rubbish. All right. And it's totally frustrating. We've got all these different options and still nothing is working. So I totally understand. All right. So what is the answer? So when our hormones are at play, it's not always medications, and it's not just diet and exercise alone that make the biggest impact. And this is what I want to share with you today. So, we really kind of have a few different options. So we can continue doing what we're doing. It feels like, literally pushing shit up a hill, okay? We're hoping that it works, even though, it never quite has worked before. Or we can, opt for a simpler path. And what I'm going to share with you across this hormone masterclass series is the simplest way to balance your hormones so you can wake up every day feeling refreshed and energized. So you don't have to rely on caffeine, chocolate, wine, that cycle. You can break up with that just to get you going. You'll be able to shift that stubborn weight that sort of landed around your middle. You'll be able to stop wondering what on earth in your wardrobe is actually going to fit today and finally feel like your old self again. Or even better, like imagine, ladies, we're in our 40s, our 50s, our 60s. We've got a whole lot of life left to go. We've got another, 30, 40, 50 years of life. Let's make it count. Seriously. This Hormone Hub episode is sponsored by our free Hormone Help Call. On the call, we'll give you some clarity around what's causing your symptoms and the 3 simple steps you can start using straight away. If you're ready to take the next step and find out how we can help you, we can talk about that too. So if you're constantly feeling tired, struggling with weight gain, PMS, mood swings, bloating, not sleeping at night, cravings, anxiety, all the things, we're ready to help. If you're ready to ditch those sugar cravings, regain your energy and shift that stubborn weight, then let us help you balance your hormones, reset your metabolism and get your confidence back so you can live the life you're meant to. The link with the details to our Hormone Help Call is in our show notes or over at kyliepinwell.com. So one of the reasons why I created the Well Balanced Woman was a few years ago, I felt completely out of control of my own body. I had had half my thyroid removed and I was on medication and all this sort of stuff. And my GP at the time had run all the tests and he told me that everything was normal. Okay, but things couldn't be further from normal. Like seriously, I wanted to scream when I walked out of his office. I felt like my metabolism had come to a grinding halt. I was constantly exhausted. I was probably not the nicest person to be living with at the time. And, I was completely burnt out. And I was so frustrated because I kept doing what I thought were the right things. And I wished someone had just grabbed me and sat me down and told me to stop. Okay. So deep down, I knew I was doing more damage because I was jumping from one thing to the next. I wanted the quick fix. I was, doing all the fasting. I had cut the carbs. I was, I couldn't just go for a workout at the gym. I had to do the 10K run. I had to do the most intense class. I had to do, all this crazy stuff. And, nothing was working for me. I was exhausted, cranky, putting on weight, just, it did not feel good. So what I did was I kind of went back to basics and it was like, okay, what is causing all this stuff? So all of the things that I was doing was not helping. So, it wasn't that I had no willpower. It wasn't that I, wasn't strong enough to say no to a chocolate bar that floated past my face. Or, it was not normal to be tracking all of the food that went in my mouth. None of those things. It was my hormones driving this. And once I started to address my hormones, as opposed to addressing my weight, everything changed. And what I want to do across this masterclass series is share with you how I did this. And, this is what I, do with my clients and we get results, phenomenal results. So listen up because this week is all about sharing what we do inside the program to get results for our clients. All right. So let's sort of start with what hormones we're talking about, what hormone imbalances mean, all of that sort of stuff. So there are so many different types of hormones that affect our weight, our mood, our energy, how we sleep, how we feel. Now, estrogen and progesterone are 2 of the biggies. So today I'm going to sort of show you how these can profoundly affect us in pretty much every single way. And then they also are connected. None of our hormones work on their own. So estrogen, progesterone, plus, testosterone, DHEA, like all of our other hormones, sex hormones, work together with our stress hormones. So we've got cortisol and adrenaline there. We've got our thyroid hormones. So they are super important because they drive our metabolism. And then we've got our blood sugar, we've got insulin. Insulin's a fat-storing hormone, so we really need to pay attention to that one. And then we've got, our circadian rhythm. So we've got melatonin is one of the hormones involved to help us sleep. So they all work together. If they're out of sync, they are all 100% guaranteed out of sync. So when we put all of these hormones in a mixing pot, it's no wonder we feel exhausted and we struggle to lose weight. Now, because we are all different, no two women I have ever worked with have presented with the same set of symptoms. So, what we do inside the Well Balanced Woman program is we have a look, we kind of deep dive into what's going on with you and what's going on with your hormones. And we personalize the program to support your needs. So perimenopause is the 10 years or so before menopause. So, yeah, you heard that right. So just like I said earlier, it can even start sort of in our mid to late 30s. For women who've had hysterectomies, for women who have, been through chemotherapy, been through radiation and, have been, in an induced menopause, the age is very varied. So to actually, be having these symptoms for most women sort of notice the symptoms for 4 or 5 years or even 2 or 3, but, it can start 10 years before. So this is where our hormones begin to fluctuate and drop. And it's like the biggest hormonal imbalances and the fluctuations that we've had since puberty, which, if you've got teenagers in the house, it can be a really beautiful time with all of these hormones coming together. Yeah, cruel trick of nature, 100%. Now, did you know that our progesterone levels decline faster? So perimenopause, we've got all of these fluctuating hormones, estrogen's high, progesterone's high, estrogen's low, progesterone's low. This is happening. Then we build up to menopause, and this is where, our ovaries stop producing our hormones and, our menstrual cycles stop. So once we haven't had a period or a menstrual cycle for a year, then we're officially in menopause. So we don't just wake up in menopause one day. It's this progression. And menopause obviously comes with its own set of symptoms too. So we're going to have a look today at the basics and kind of how it works. We'll have a look at, some of the symptoms that can, present and also what we can do about it. So let's start with estrogen. So estrogen basically makes us women. So it gives us our, boobs, it gives us our curves, it gives us our menstrual cycle. It can be quite protective, so it prevents bone loss, it protects our cardiovascular health, and also protects us from insulin sensitivity, which then protects us from developing insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. So it's quite an important hormone. Now, the problem comes in perimenopause, and this is where we tend to have higher levels of estrogen, and higher levels of estrogen can be very inflammatory. So it can be that we have normal levels of progesterone and high levels of estrogen, or we could have normal levels of estrogen and low levels of progesterone. So either way, the ratio is out. But when we have that higher than normal estrogen, this is where some inflammatory conditions start to pop up. So things like, some of the signs and symptoms of high estrogen can be heavy bleeding, clotting, period pain, breast tenderness, weight gain, hot flushes, endometriosis, fibroids, cysts, hormonal-driven cancers like breast cancer, ovarian cancers, headaches can be a big thing, fluid retention, that puffiness, acne, and then also, it can mess with our thyroid as well. Now, what goes up must come down. So when we have high levels of estrogen, at some point, when we go through menopause, our estrogen levels drop. This is where we tend to see hot flushes, night sweats, insomnia, anxiety and overwhelm, loss of confidence. That's a huge one for a lot of women. It's like the rug gets pulled out from underneath you. So, so that's estrogen, and we can go from that high to that low, really quickly. So it's no wonder that we are a little discombobulated. There you go. I was wondering how I was going to slide that word in there. All right. So if we flip it around, and if estrogen is the hormone that sort of drives that inflammation, then think of progesterone as doing just the opposite. So progesterone is all about fertility and pregnancy. It's protective against hormonal-driven cancers. It's a natural antidepressant. It's very calming. So when we tend to get PMS, it's that drop in progesterone, okay? And yeah, it's also very anti-inflammatory. So if we have low progesterone, some of the signs and symptoms of that can be, certainly PMS. So how it sort of works is, in that build up to ovulation, we hit ovulation, our body, is hoping, our head might not be hoping, but our body is hoping that we're going to be pregnant. We're not pregnant, so our progesterone levels drop. If it plummets really quickly, this is where the PMS happens, because we've lost that progesterone. We've lost that happy, calming hormone. So irritability, teariness, depression, anxiety in some women, menstrual pain, irregular cycles, breast swelling and tenderness can be a big one for a lot of women. Back in our baby-making days, low progesterone can be a big sort of driver for infertility and also miscarriage. It can drive cravings, so many things. So when we sort of have a look at the symptoms of low progesterone and we put this together with the symptoms of high estrogen, no wonder we can feel, absolutely crippled, physically, mentally, emotionally. So this is why it's so important for estrogen and progesterone to be in balance. Okay, so, they need to be in balance so all of our hormones can do their functions and do what they're supposed to do efficiently. So it is normal to have hormone fluctuations throughout our cycle and also at different stages of our life as well. So if we think of menopause as, it's a natural transition. We are not meant to be fertile goddesses for the end of our days. I mean, seriously, who wants to have a baby in their 80s? No, thank you. So we are supposed to go through this transition. It's a natural transition. It's a natural part of life. And I hear women, wanting to go on HRT until the day they die. And it's like, really? You don't need, we aren't built to have those high levels of hormones until the end of time. Yes, there's this transition and we may or may not need some support through that. Either way is totally fine, but it's not something that lasts forever. So I want you to remember, whatever symptoms you're experiencing right now, it does not last forever. Okay. So as you can see, hormones are a pretty broad, complex topic, okay, and there are so many factors to consider. So today we kind of looked at our key hormones, estrogen and progesterone, and over the next, few sessions, we're going to be looking at, what are our big drivers of this hormone imbalance? And also, more importantly, which is what I know you really want to know, is what we can do about it, because that is the key. All right, so stay tuned for the next few episodes because, it's definitely going to be worth hanging around. All right, thanks so much for listening, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. You can head on over to the show notes at kyliepinwell.com/podcast where you'll find all the links and I have a little bonus surprise waiting for you. Before we go, it would mean the world to me if you head on over to your favourite podcasts channel, subscribe and leave a review. Make sure to screenshot it, DM it to me so I can thank you personally. Then stay tuned for next week's episode. Can't wait to see you then.